Welcome to Smart Okoson TV, your #1 top channel for the latest updates on Biafra news, things going on in Biafra land, and the hottest trends in entertainment. As you are about to watch this video, try to like, subscribe, comment and share for orders to see.
Minutes long, and we just wept at the failure of the Nigerian Supreme Court to say that this man, and they had the opportunity to say this man was totally innocent. There have been thousands of killings of Christians by Fulanis. And so as a human rights advocate and as a pastor, I'm here to advocate for this man who is totally innocent. So it has international implications. The eyes of human rights advocates are now on Nigeria. Like, how could this happen? How could this possibly happen? And I have been working for a number of years here in Nigeria on human rights issues, and this is a sad day, Charles, for human rights in Nigeria. Sunday Jackson, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm a human rights advocate. Sunday Jackson, by anyone's estimation, is totally innocent. And the issue where this man was out farming, minding his own business, and then the attacker came and a struggle ensued. And of course, this man is going to defend himself. That's why we call it self-defense. And yet today, we were at the Nigerian Supreme Court, and it was very brief. It was only about maybe 2 minutes long, and we just wept at the failure of the Nigerian Supreme Court to say that this man, and they had the opportunity to say this man was totally innocent. We haven't seen all the ins and outs of the decision, but we had the opportunity to meet this humble farmer, this young man who unfortunately his wife abandoned him, had been on death row for 10 years. So Sunday Jackson has now become an international case for human rights.
Yes,
and so we're going to continue to advocate.
I was going to ask you what are the international dimensions of this case?
Well, the international dimensions are Open Doors, which is a human rights organization, has recounted that there have been thousands of killings of Christians by Fulanis. And so as a human rights advocate and as a pastor, I'm here to advocate for this man who is totally innocent. So it has international implications. The eyes of human rights advocates are now on Nigeria. Like, how could this happen? How could this possibly happen?
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining me. The worst is also happening in Nigeria. First of all, let me introduce Dr. Williams to you, or Mr. Williams as you may call it. Mr. Williams is an American human rights leader. They flew in from America with a lawyer because of a terrible issue and case that is going on in Nigeria, that the whole world is asking whether Nigeria even have a court. Now, what happened? Mr. Jackson received a terrible attack from a Fulani man who was with his cows as usual in the farm. So the man stabbed him at the leg. The man was stabbing him, wanting to kill him. I mean, the Fulani man. So Mr. Jackson, what did he do? He now, wrestled with the Fulani man. He was able to collect the knife from him and stab him back. In that process, the Fulani man died. Normally, it's a self-defense, because this is a terrible issue. Many times we talk about self-defense, self-defense, self-defense. This man was defending himself against the Fulani man who invaded his farm, fighting to kill him. He now wrestled the knife from the Fulani man and killed him. You know what happened? The whole court in Nigeria sentenced him to death for killing a Fulani man. The Fulani man was not in Nigeria, and he's not in Nigeria. Now, the issue going on in Nigeria, it doesn't happen anywhere in the world. It doesn't happen anywhere. So the international community have to take interest, saying, no, this does not happen anywhere in the world. How could it be that someone who has a fan defending himself, now you are sentencing him to death? So it is important you people understand from where this thing is happening from, because when you look at the whole issue going on, the other day they came to kill 30-something people in Ebonyi State, burn down 30 houses. Up to today, they did not arrest any Fulani man that did that. Our women were protesting in Enugu State the other day. Up to now, no arrest, no statement from the government, because the person is a Fulani man. I am not saying this because I hate the tribe. I talk reality out of issues, and I have to tell the world the way it is. All my efforts to speak with this man has not worked. I am hoping that this evening I will be able to reach out to him and, still speak with him, because what is going on needs international attention urgently, because the governments at the federal level, they are colluding. There is no doubt about that. They are colluding. If they are not colluding, you can't tell me that the court admitted that yes, the knife belongs to the Fulani man. The court admitted that Fulani man is the first person that stabbed Mr. Jackson. But the court said he should have collected the knife and run. When they have even cut his vein in his leg, he can't run again. The only option he has is to retaliate and stab back. The court said he's supposed to run. Because of that, we are sentencing you to death. Anyway, for those of you who are still thinking that Nigeria is going to work out for you, a destiny like this awaits you in the future. Listen to what happened.
By anyone's estimation, as Barrister said earlier, manslaughter at least, because murder one that he's being convicted of and may face hanging if we can't get clemency for him, it has to be premeditated. So what justice on the Nigerian Supreme Court that didn't pop up and say to him or her, this is a case of self-defense and this man is totally innocent. So we encourage people to continue to pray for Sunday Jackson and his innocence.
Emmanuel, what was the prosecution's argument? I understand that they urged the court to convict Mr. Jackson solely on his confessional statement and based on the fact that death had occurred. So basically, no mitigating circumstances, and that was pretty much how the judge saw it.
Yes, so part of the problem is they are arguing that he had a responsibility to flee. Now, in the US, we have, stand your ground rules, which means you can defend yourself as much as you want. Now, here, they're arguing that instead of fight, you should have flight, you should flee.
In other words, after he overpowered the man and retrieved the knife, there was no further need to stab him.
Yes, but that is not accurate, and I don't think that's a fair requirement to make to someone who is facing imminent death. Now, just the data alone of all the massacres that have occurred, he couldn't have known if there were more headsmen on their way to kill him. He has seen reports of what these people do. This guy just stabbed him. And so to expect him to reasonably assume that to fulfill the conditions of the law he needed to flee made no sense.
Yeah, but nevertheless, do remember that a lot of Nigerian law is based on English common law. And if you go into somebody's house to rob the person, I think it's different in America. It's that standard ground thing. You can actually shoot the person. If you did that in the UK, you'd be charged with murder.
Well, but here's the issue. The issue is that the attacker brought the knife, he overpowered him and took the knife after he sustained injuries. And this is why I have a problem. The evidence shows that he was injured in the leg. And then you say that he should have run. So he was at that moment momentarily incapacitated to even be able to run. I mean, the facts are not in doubt. This man did not die, that this attacker died as a result of the attack. But the circumstances was he attacked me, I was in fear for my life, and I fought back.
Were there any witnesses?
There were no witnesses. But, I mean, even the prosecution admitted that the weapon belonged to the attacker. The evidence, he had scars on his body of the injuries he sustained.
Okay, let me ask you, William.
Yes.
Are you now in the process of trying to reach out to political leaders in Adamawa State in order to seek clemency? Because that's the only option, really.
That's the only option. We are bringing out every possible person, method, ability to be able to grant clemency to Mr. Sunday Jackson, who is totally innocent. And so, yes, we are on a fast track to alert people that here's a man that you can stand up for from a human rights perspective. Be a hero today in Nigeria on the issue of human rights and stand up for this nobody, Sunday Jackson, that's totally innocent in spite of what the Nigerian Supreme Court said today. So yeah, we're initiating and we're going full force on that.
And how much time has he actually got now?
Well, we're not sure what the timeline is now. And just to illustrate the level of disappointment, we had someone on standby to pick him up from prison today. And I couldn't make the call to say he's not going home, he's going to be killed. His children are ill. We've had to take care of them. His wife abandoned him. And so even in this time, he's not surrounded by his family, and we're going to put him to death. But I do want to make a quick point here about we're standing up not just for him, but for all of us. The Fulani militia have killed thousands of Christians. They've killed Muslims as well, and many of them are foreigners. So we have a situation where foreigners come and kill Nigerians with impunity, and Nigerians can't defend themselves. In the northwest right now, Lakawura is a Fulani terrorist group that was invited to come and help stop the terrorism of Boko Haram and bandits, and they're now killing the people they came in to protect. So Nigeria is under siege, and there are more Nigerian citizens on death row in Nigeria now for defending themselves against Fulani headsmen than there are Fulani headsmen in Nigerian prisons in death row. That's just wrong. That's unacceptable.
Upside down.
So no idea how much time he's actually got.
No.
Because I mean, there must be a period that allows for the clemency process to
well, the court did not issue their opinion today, and they said not till next week. So we're on a fast track.
So they just made an announcement.
Correct. They
That's
just
why I
made
said
the
it took
announcement.
2 minutes. They had 30 judgments to deliver today, so they said they couldn't read everything, and they'll just give the conclusions. So all we had was dismissed, and we won't know till next week. But I will contrast this with the death row case in Indonesia that we won.
Well, I'm going to come to that in a minute, because we're fast running out of time. But I mean, he's been in prison for 10 years. What must his mental state be?
Well, we saw February 19th, 2021. We went to Yola, and we actually had access to visit with him and to pray for him. So here's a man that has lost everything simply because he was trying to defend himself and defend his family and defend his farm. As Barrister said, how did Sunday Jackson know that there may be 20 other Fulanis that are coming right behind this gentleman who attacked him? So his mental state, you can imagine being in prison for 10 years, losing your family, losing your children, losing your wife. I mean, the man is crushed and depressed, and that's why we are going to continue to advocate for the innocence of Sunday Jackson.
And Emmanuel, you were talking about Indonesia.
Yes.
I mean, you've done a lot of cases across the world. Tell us about that case in Indonesia where you got a Nigerian off death row, and how that contrasts with what happened here in Nigeria.
Yes, so that was a fascinating case. It's definitely one of the most complex cases I've had to deal with. And the gentleman was convicted under the identity of Emmanuel Ihejirika, which wasn't his real name. The passport wasn't his own passport. So he ended up, by mistaken identity, getting a death sentence for crimes that he did not commit. And we had to prove that he was not a Sierra Leonean, but a Nigerian. And we couldn't get the data from the NIS. And so
that's the
Nigerian Immigration Service.
Yes.
So we had to conduct a DNA test on his brother from Ebonyi State here in Abuja, and then we had to do a DNA test on him in prison to establish. This is one of the most bizarre cases ever. We had teams of lawyers working in Indonesia, Australia, Pakistan, and Malaysia, and then myself in the US. And very fortunately for us, the Indonesian Supreme Court granted him a reprieve, and he came home after 20 years from a country that is, you know, the biggest Muslim country in the world. There's a bit of racism in that country, and you know, Nigerians have a terrible reputation, but the Supreme Court set a poor Nigerian free. And he came back maybe about a year ago to Nigeria. The work that Sonny Akoni, the counsel on this case, did was fascinating. He's won death row cases before, but this was a big shocker to us. And about the timeline, quickly, I was going to say, in Indonesia, we came into the case after he had exhausted everything. He was awaiting execution. But the Indonesian ambassador told me here in Abuja, he said, listen, 27 days to his conviction, you have a right, to his execution, you have a right to file an additional appeal. So we went around the world and we gathered our data. We had huge briefs. When he was told he was going to be executed, we submitted our appeal. And a couple of years later, the court said, we're going to overturn his death sentence. So in our case in Nigeria, we don't know the clock we're working with, but definitely time is of the essence to get him free.
But on a final word,
yes.
He now essentially is in a race for his life.
He is in a race for his life. And this Indonesian case was a great day of celebration because we brought that gentleman home and landed here in Abuja on Christmas Day of all things. So we're going to be with Sunday Jackson until the final lap of this, and we are hoping to God that our prayers will be answered, and we ask others to pray, Charles, and thank you for bringing attention to Sunday Jackson, this innocent man.
Well, thank you for bringing that story to us, and we're very encouraged by the work that you do, both of you, and keep doing it. Dr. William Terence Devlin is an American human rights leader who's been supporting Mr. Jackson, and of course, Emmanuel Ogebe is a member of his defense team, and he's a US-based human rights lawyer. Thank you very much indeed to both of you.
Thank you, Charles.
That are answerable to Sultan of Sokoto and to Fulanis, answerable to the Fulanis, are the 5 eastern state governors. Number one,
by sending the words of,
you see, let me tell you, Sultan of Sokoto is proven to be the father of all evil men in Nigeria. Sultan of Sokoto can never be the father of all men in a kingdom where I come from. We have nothing to do with Islam. We have nothing to do with Fulani. Sultan of Sokoto should actually know the particular people in Igbo land he is giving that kind of selfish order. I'm telling you, Fulani dominance can never touch my area in Anambra State. We are answerable to only God. I'm saying this with all audacity. If Fulani, Sultan of Sokoto, Muslim Caliphate or Islamic Caliphate in the north is giving order not where I come from. The Sultana, if you want to mix up with Igbo, could scrape anything Fulani conquest. I don't know understand. And come out with a different ideology that should benefit everybody. Is going to the angle of religion, he has failed. Because if he exposes Igbo land to jihad, allow us with the jihadists, they will their grave will scatter all over Igbo land. Igbo warriors are not afraid of anybody. So what is deserved, the remembrance, we the Igbos are giving it to him. The only people that are answerable to Sultan of Sokoto and to Fulanis, answerable to the Fulanis, are the 5 eastern state governors. Number 1, Hope Uzodinma. Number 2, Peter Mba. 3, Nwaflefu. 4 is Obiano. Alesoti can never. I mean 5 states. 4 states, with the exception of Alesoti of Abia State, he can never be answerable to Sultan of Sokoto. Sultan of Sokoto, if you want to get something right now, you should come and lead himself to Christ with his 2 steps. You are watching a God that has never done miracle in the history of the earth. As your God actually resurrected the dead, spoke to the dead, and the dead woke up. Tell me where it has happened. Saudi Arabia is the headquarter of Islam in the world. Tell me where it has happened. In Medina or Mecca. Where? That you want Igbo man to be answerable to you. Okay, we have our own king in my domain. The only king we have in my domain in Anambra that every community answers to him is Eze Idigo of Aguleri. I am from Igwedo Okebo, Neri Kingdom. Our king answers to Eze Idigo. Eze Idigo doesn't answer to anybody. Even to Ofala Kabu of Onitsha, no, he's answerable to Eze Idigo, Igwe of Aguleri. That is how our culture and tradition run. We don't answer to any other person outside our kingdom. And our religion is Christianity or Judaism. We can never, ever allow the increment of Judaism begin to at least move or step into the domain of Islam. We don't violate anybody's religious rights. It is my right to be in my domain. You are right to be in your domain. Sultan of Sokoto should mind his business. His religious business could not be extended into a kingdom, into Igbo land where I come from. For one, for arm.
But people are still blaming Peter Ombadi. They say he's the one that would have financed or advised the Igbos and traditional rulers to go to Sokoto to greet and foster peace. And sometimes they come and say that the only thing that can bring Nigeria together is peace. That different traditions must come together and live in peace. But do you agree with that? The Fulanis come to the southeast to live with the Biafrans. Do you agree?
It is not possible. Fulani can never come and live in peace in any community in Igbo land. They have come to dominate the land, grab the land, annihilate or at least spy the landowners, the owners of the land. And that was the kind of trick and deception they used on their Hausa counterparts from 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. And actually they succeeded. Over 400 years ago, they were living with the Hausas. Where are the Hausas today? Politically, nowhere to be found. Industrially, nowhere to be found. Religiously, the Hausas are gone. You cannot even know the original religion of the Hausas today. Because Fulani came with their particular kind of, let me say, religious agenda. First, the Hausas, force it on the Hausas. And today, the Hausas religiously are nowhere to be found. If the Hausas are pagans today, I don't know. Because I know that Fulani came with their own religion and made sure that they silenced the original religion of the Hausas over the years. And today, politically, the Hausas are gone forever. Could you imagine that since inception of the Nigerian country, it is people from the north that has been ruling since independence. And none of them is from Hausa extraction. They are all Fulanis. What kind of deception is that? And you think that Igbo man is that gullible to succumb to you the way the Hausas succumbed? The kind juju where you need the Hausas, if you carry that kind juju, can't do am to Igbo man, you no go work. Because we actually know who we are. I don't know that remove the label. So it can work. My brother, it can work, the label. It can work, the label. It can work. The Hausas are different people entirely. Yes. Igbos are different people entirely. We have both different, our differences. I don't understand. The kind of intelligence the brave Igbo man is having is not the same with the Hausas. The Hausas are over docile and complacent. I don't understand. That they even allow their lives. They play politics with a foreigner with their lives. All the political positions in the north occupied by the Fulanis, while you are the owner of the land. Don't you know that you have something wrong with you? The Hausa man have something wrong with him. That is what is going on today. And it cannot be at least stretched, extended to the Igbos and other tribes in Nigeria. No to Fulani Janjaweeds and all their deceptions. We can never allow that.
Okay, and lastly, you see Remi Tinubu come out to say that she was in support of the Nigeria senator against Natasha. She has come and said that Natasha put herself in that position where the senators are accusing her of
Oga Remi Tinubu could support bad thing. There's never a time in Nigeria Remi Tinubu can support good thing. There was a time Remi Tinubu was fighting Dino Melai. Yes. They fought Betty. But it wasn't on sexual harassment. I don't really understand. Sexual harassment is a different issue in our society today. Could be that Natasha, Akpabio, both are senators in the United States. Both of them could have stepped down now. And they allow the congressmen to investigate them properly. And after investigation, we have cameras all over the United States. There must be a substantiated evidence they will use to what? Punish Akpabio. Akpabio should be, down right now on his knee begging. But there is no equipment, no forensic investigation, institution or establishment in Nigeria. We just investigate out of human ability and knowledge, which can never be complete. But America, they have technologies, science, yes, equipment down to investigate you.
Thanks for tuning in to Smart Okoson TV show. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share to keep the intellect flowing.